human rights lawyer, Mr. Falana, yesterday was calling out on security agencies to apprehend those he claimed are anti-democratic forces bent on truncating the 2023 elections. We get more perspective from the senior advocate tonight on the program. Mr. Falana joins us from his office in the Ikeja area of Lagos. Thank you so much, Leonard Silk, for joining us tonight. Give us your perspective. You raised an alarm, and that perhaps I'm not sure that is unfounded. You must have seen something for you to say something. Give us a perspective that you have on this matter.
Well, in the first place, while the INEC, Independent National Electoral Commission, is working around the clock to ensure credible election, I cannot see any sign on the part of the political class, any readiness on the part of the political class to have good elections in the country. I just listened to the Speaker of the House of Representatives now, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, expressing concern over political violence in the country. I'm rather flabbergasted in the sense that last year, the Senate passed, July, the Senate passed the Electoral Offenses Commission bill. Up to now, up to today, the House of Representatives has refused to pass the bill and force him to the president for assent. So that's worrisome. Secondly, the security forces have not taken concrete steps to arrest anti-democratic elements that are bent on frustrating the democratic process. What we have witnessed in the last 1 month are warnings oozing out of the offices of the Inspector General of Police, National Security Advisor, Director General of the State Security Service. Governors are being warned to desist from using thugs to disrupt political campaigns of their opponents. Thugs are being warned to desist from, disrupting the political process. Those who have been arrested have not been brought to trial. The Central Bank of Nigeria has announced that cash withdrawals will not be allowed beyond 20,000 naira to the POS or 100,000 naira per week. But those who have stored dollars at home or those who are mopping up dollars are allowed to keep the money. And so, if you say they should not use naira, aren't they going to use dollars? Right now, PVCs are being bought. Thousands of PVCs are being bought by politicians. Are we to believe that the security forces cannot arrest such anti-democratic elements? So when you consider all these threats to the conduct of good elections in Nigeria, you will come to the irresistible conclusion that the 2023 election may lead to crisis in the country. By the way, in spite of the assurance by the armed forces or the authorities of the armed forces that the terrorists have been degraded from the information at my disposal. Not less than 40 local governments in Nigeria are currently occupied by terrorists and armed gangs in a way that elections are simply impossible. You can't conduct elections in those areas. You will recall, Sheung, that in 2015, the elections were postponed for about 6 weeks. Before the armed forces, with the assistance of mercenaries, could prepare the ground for the elections. This time around, one does not know for how many weeks or months the elections may be postponed in those 40 local governments.
Let me show you part of the statement which you released yesterday, which brought some fears and concern to many Nigerians. You said, and I quote in some part of that statement, you said, unless the security forces are prepared to deal with the anti-democratic forces that are currently disrupting the democratic process, the 2023 general elections may be sabotaged to the detriment of democracy and political stability in the country. Mr. Falana, you are inferring that there might be a cancellation or the stoppage of the 2023 polls. This has far-reaching consequence, which will lead into some constitutional issues in the country. Is this your worst? Is this the worst that you envisage that could happen based on the incident that is currently going on, as you have described earlier?
Well, if you look at what is going on around us, you will have your fears. Burkina Faso, Guinea, Mali had democratic government, but today they are under the jackboots. There have been attempts in about 3 other West African countries. There have been attempted coups. In the United States of America, President Trump attempted a coup on January 6, 2020. Just a couple of weeks ago, Germany, there was an attempted coup in Germany. So there is no certainty where democracy has not been fully consolidated. In the case of Nigeria, what you have in place is what I might call rickety democracy. Such rickety democracy is under threat by members of the political class. 3 months ago, I contacted the leadership of the House of Representatives. When are you going to pass the Electoral Offenses Commission bill, which was passed by the Senate last year? Oh, I was assured we are going to pass it. But today, that bill has not been passed. The essence of that, the recommendation of the Waste Panel in 2008, which was set up by the Yaradua government, is that based on experience in the country, political parties, ruling parties, are very reluctant to prosecute electoral offenders. Therefore, let us have a commission that will do so. And that was the essence of the commission. The Buhari regime or the APC promised to set up the commission before coming to power. But today, that has not happened. In Ekiti and Osun, where you had gubernatorial elections recently, vote buyers were arrested, armed thugs were arrested. Why have they not been prosecuted? The NSA announced 2 months ago No, this month, that we have had 52 incidents, 52 attacks. To the best of my knowledge, over 100 people were arrested in Ekiti alone during the primary. Not to talk of other states. Which of them has been prosecuted? Last week, the Arewa Consultative Forum corroborated the statement credited to INEC that PVCs are being bought. Voters are being induced already. Again, the governor of the central bank and I have had a running battle over the dangerous dollarization of the economy. Now, you have said we're not going to allow people to use Naira to buy votes. Why are you not saying that everybody who has dollars in their homes must put them in domiciliary accounts? So when you consider this incident, you come to the irresistible conclusion.
Mr. Falana, I need to ask you these two direct and short questions. One is, do you think that all of these are deliberate by the political class? There are some people who do not want us to have election next year.
You see, we're operating in an atmosphere of impunity. Once they are not brought to book, what do you expect? The president went to the United Nations last week. No, to the United States of America last week. And earlier than that, to the United Nations. To assure the whole world that his regime, his administration, will conduct credible elections. But on ground, anti-democratic forces are having a field day. And I have just reminded you,
if that is the case,
that
Mr.
in over 40 local
what
governments,
are
we will
the
not be able to have
implications
elections.
of not having elections at the stated time? Are there constitutional complications that may arise?
There are.
What are the implications? How dire is the situation? Should we have a situation where, with all what is going on, what you have described, and we're not able to have an election, what is the worst case scenario?
You see, I have come out to warn Nigerians, to draw attention of Nigerians, particularly concerned Nigerians, to the dangers ahead. And I'm therefore challenging the authorities, the security forces, the Buhari administration, to go back to the drawing table. Read the Riot Act to members of the political class and proceed to arrest and prosecute the anti-democratic forces that are desperately bent on making a mockery of the democratic process. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, the home of a former senator in Rivers State was attacked by over 200 thugs without conducting any investigation whatsoever. The commissioner of police, Mr. Okon, came out to say that the senator staged the attack on his house. So once the security forces are not neutral in the political crisis in town, you are in trouble. So for me, it is not too late in the day now. It is not too late in the day for the House of Reps to pass the Electoral Offences Commission bill and allow the National Assembly to forward same to the President for its assent, so that the commission, an independent commission, can be set up very quickly to deal with thuggery and violence and monetization of the electoral process, purchase of votes. Secondly, the armed forces will have to ensure that terrorists are chased out of town in the 40 local governments currently under the legal control of dangerous armed gangs. So these problems can all be identified and addressed one after the other. But if the members of the ruling class go on as if this country is not run under the rule of law, we are going to be in a very serious crisis. In a very serious crisis.
Right. Yeah, there is another issue, Mr. Falana, that begs for some intervention. And let's get your legal point of view on what is happening to the Apex Court governor, the CBN governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele. There was a court order today, ruling of the court today, to stop the DSS from arresting or taking action against the man. I mean, there are controversies around the CBN governor, the CBN, its policy, and all of that. I mean, and we've seen civil society organization coming out to say, oh, they're planning to harass the man out of office and all of that. In the first instance, what are your initial reaction to the ongoings?
You see, there was the temptation. My initial reaction was the temptation to say that is certain right. Because in many instances, Mr. Godwin Emefiele has recruited the services of Mr. Mike Anduaka, SAN, to rush to the same Federal High Court to obtain ex parte orders to freeze the accounts of Nigerians. In the case of the leaders of the NSAS movement, their accounts were seized for 6 months. But having said that, I want to congratulate Mr. Godwin Emefiele for his temporary legal victory, whereby the court refused to grant the application of the State Security Service to arrest and detain him. I say that it's been lucky in the sense that on a daily basis, several ex parte orders are made by our courts authorizing the detention of people that I regard as the flotsam and the jetsam of the society. But in his own case, because of his social status, the court refused to grant the application. I have therefore called on our judges. Number one, to entertain and assign all fundamental right applications with dispatch. Because there is equality before the law. Two, on no ground should our court order the arrest and detention of any citizen on the basis of an ex parte application. So I want to believe that our court will now adopt the policy of saying, go and put the person you want me to detain on notice so that he can be given the opportunity to challenge the ex parte applications. So I think we are drawing lessons from what is going on. But I'm not going to join
on the final note,
who are jumping to conclusions. I deal with evidence as a lawyer. So I cannot speculate. I cannot guess why this harassment is being meted out to Mr. Godwin Emefiele. I do not have the full facts. Even the court said sufficient facts have not been adduced to warrant granting the order. So I think the ball is back. And the court did say, if you are sure you have the evidence, I cannot prevent you, and no court can prevent a citizen from being arrested, apart from those who are entitled to immunity. So if the State Security Service...
Mr. Falana, we are out of time. We're out of time, but although this you have dealt with sufficiently at some fora, is on the case of the policy of the CBN on the cashless and the withdrawal policy. You've said that it is unlawful and is against the existing Money Laundering Act, which has not been amended. But what would you advise, if you can deal with this question just in 30 seconds, what would you advise to be done? The policy
that the money,
has been made.
Section 2
what
of the Money Laundering Act
should be done urgently?
Be
just 30
amended,
seconds, Mr. Falana,
because it allows people to have about 5 million naira, I mean an individual, and then a corporate body 10 million naira. The law was amended last year by the National Assembly. But for me, having regards to the problems being encountered, or that will be encountered by majority of our people who have no bank accounts, I want to suggest that after the elections, people should be given at least 6 months, you know, to be able to acquire bank accounts. Right now, I know states in Nigeria where all the banks operate in the state capitals because of insecurity. So in the rural banking, I mean, in the rural areas, we need to get our people, you know, to embrace, you know, cashless economy. But for the purpose of the election, I think I'm not prepared now to challenge the legality or otherwise of the policy.
Mr. Femi Falana, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, thank you so much indeed for your thought and perspective that you have given to some of these issues. Thank you so much indeed. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.